We are a medication adherence company first. Medication adherence goes back decades and decades and really hasn't, from a non-adherence perspective, hasn't changed much. In the world today, you have about 57% of patients have a chronic disease. And about 50% of the time, those patients are non-adherent to how they take those medicines or instructed to do so. So Blue Charm Adherence is first a medication adherence company. And what we do is we engage patients on our platform to learn about their disease and treatment. We call that health literacy. Also to engage from a reminder perspective in terms of when they want to take their medicine and journaling. And what we do is a behavior modification platform, and that we reward that engagement. And that reward is essentially helping them fund their medicines that they are on. Now, our focus of the company is with the concept called specialty medicine. So these are more complex, high-priced molecules that are in the pharmaceutical industry today. So that reward helps them fund that medicine based on their engagement levels. I think it's a really cool story is that, of course, this year COVID was in place, and I think the environment changed a lot, back a year ago. In that, of course, there were a few individuals going inside the office and so on. And one of the reasons Blue Charm got involved with Volta, because we really want that culture that came with that, along with the incubation hub. But oddly enough, actually, the staffing in both companies were actually going into the office each day. So we were kind of one of very few people that were in there. So we got to know each other and got to connect. Volta also had an event that connected a lot of companies on the lower level at one point in time. And oddly enough, again, we were kind of connected with the same teams we were put on. So we got to know each other a little better. And over time, we got chatting about what each company did and realized that we're both really in kind of like the same space in terms of adherence and how patients kind of adhere to, instructions, whether it's going into a clinic or adhering to their medication. So we're kind of in that thing. So over time, we just started to chat about that together, we would be better. And that's really what led to the acquisition and where we're here today.
Became evident after a number of conversations. This is a long process to go through an acquisition, but I think one of the key factors is ensuring that both companies are aligned and focused on the same vision. And it really just became apparent that it was like a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. Where we're stronger together and both working in the medication adherence and patient engagement space, and some of the technology that we developed at Symbi was going to be very helpful, in this new environment. So yeah, we're really excited to be together and happy that Volta was able to help us sort of bring those two stories together. I think it takes a lot of time for sure. It's definitely a transition. But the nice thing for both companies is we were already really in a very similar space. With Symbi, we were launching a new product in the pharmaceutical space, focused on these specific groups of patients and helping them adhere to their care plans. And so really a lot of the work that we were already doing internally as a company just aligned perfectly with the work that Blue Charm was doing. So I think in terms of the transition, it's been fairly seamless. We're about a month in now, and things are really starting to work well, and we're moving quite quickly. So I don't know, Greg, if you want to comment on that, but I think it's been a really fantastic transition.
The conversations that take place in a day have accelerated beyond my expectation. It's just incredible when you get like-minded, very passionate people about an idea. What happens, you go in the day and you have your workload that you have to do, and sometimes that consumes you. But by most part, throughout every day that we've been together, the conversation is elevated in terms of how to accelerate the idea and so on. So what it does is it creates you in a better space. It makes you much more busy. It pushes you to market quicker and so on. So all I can say in terms of the day-to-day transition and what happens is wow, which is incredible.
I can start with this. So Symbi became a resident company at Volta in September of 2020. And then pretty shortly after, I think it was a networking event where we initially met Blue Charm, but we were both working as resident companies on sort of the mezzanine floor, where a lot of the kind of young startups are. So yeah, we've been there for about how long is that now? quite a few months, but due to COVID, obviously a lot of some of the events couldn't happen, and you have to sort of follow those guidelines. But still, like even despite that, it's been an absolutely fantastic environment to be around. Sort of like-minded individuals in Volta, people working on really innovative companies. And so I think it was, that was a big reason behind at least the initial, stages of this acquisition, were, meeting great companies, and one of those companies was Blue Charm. So we're very thankful, obviously, for the Volta environment and for what that did for us.
From our perspective, we Blue Charm actually went into Volta March 1st, 2020. So as soon as we kind of were able to go in, we were not able to go in, so I think it was June before we were allowed back in the office. So, we were so excited about it. And then, from June on, we were actually in there every day. My colleague and co-founder, Lauren, we would go in every day and we started to work away, and at the time it was only two of us, and then keep plugging away at the idea and the innovations that we had going forward. So it was a lot of work, but like I said, Volta facilitated, oddly enough, even though there weren't that many individuals or companies going in at that point in time, it facilitated us meeting each other. And through that networking program, we continue the conversation. We're just kind of in a good spot right now because of it, actually. If it wasn't for Volta, it wouldn't have happened.